Hello, everybody, and welcome back to B2B with Ross and Bella. My name is Bella.
I'm Ross.
And today we're going B2B with a very special guest. He wears many hats, some would say. And to give you a little background
on
figurative
hats. I never actually wear a hat. I wish I could.
That's actually
I look at other
actually
people,
never seen him wear a real hat.
They look so good with hats on. I throw it on. It just doesn't matter what kind of hat. It doesn't work.
That's hilarious because I've never seen you with a hat on.
Trust me, I try.
But figuratively, you wear...
I'm in the closet. Jackie has like 50 hats. I'm trying to throw them
like,
on,
nope.
And there's not a single one in there that looks
just
good.
Don't have the head for it.
It's a terrible feeling. When I tried to grow my hair out during COVID, like... just to see how fro-y it would get. But partially because I wanted like longer hair, maybe to throw a hat on.
Yeah.
No.
Is your head too big or too small to fit in a hat?
I think it's too small. I don't
Same.
know. Something's going on.
I had to find the right fit of hat, and then I finally found it, and I'm super comfortable in hats now, and I just love to wear them.
I'm looking for my fit.
You never
because
don't wear a
they
hat.
they hide you from like everything.
I feel like I'm a different person when I have a hat on. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
there's
dude,
there's nights where I want to be out, and I want to be a different guy.
That's when I bring out the fedora.
Yeah, like,
when Ross
fedora.
wears a fedora, he is truly a different guy. No, I don't know that guy.
Remember for Halloween when I was the McDonald's guy? I feel
Yes.
like I might have worn a hat, and I just felt, I could do anything.
No, actually, that guy, I don't know him either. I do not know Jason that works at McDonald's.
I could do anything.
Oh, look good.
We're going to have to attach a picture of you in the McDonald's hat.
That's fair.
Just a
You've
quick
been a
background.
McDonald's guy for like multiple different Halloweens.
Yeah, I brought I snuck in like 50 McNuggets and like 6 orders of fries into the concert.
You carried
Then the
it on.
first couple drops, I just threw them up, and everyone around me was just freaking out.
Imagine being at Space and you just get bonked in the head with a chicken
With
nugget.
a double cheeseburger.
Crazier things have happened.
Everyone was so jacked up. Like everyone was coming up to me, wanting food.
Yeah.
Most importantly, but
Yeah, they're like, we haven't eaten hours.
definitely like peaked in terms of popularity.
Oh my
I
God.
love
Yeah.
that.
Party trick, just bring McNuggets to the party.
I really like it. Shouldn't only be Halloween.
You'll
I think
make
you
friends.
I think you should be able to. Do
Are you
that.
running it
Yeah.
back this year for Halloween?
Maybe tomorrow. Honestly, I don't even need Halloween.
Maybe tomorrow. For some background, Space reopening actually was today. We don't know when this episode will be posted, so it might be
Like if you're
old
in the
news
booth,
at that point.
you have the
but
little window. You're like already serving people. You
yeah,
just
be
come
right
up
over
to
the
the
top.
booth for a nugget
dishing out
deposit.
food.
We literally just place one in their hand, like
This is for you.
the body of Christ. Okay, back to the intro. So our guest today is many different things. A successful entrepreneur, a cat dad, a vibe connoisseur, playlist master, very talented DJ. He's open for people like Vintage Culture, Sophie Tucker, John Summit, Peggy Goo,
Gordo.
Shout out Gordo.
Most
and
importantly.
honestly is a great person. Super interesting. One of the most interesting things is just who his grandmother happens to be, which we'll get to in a moment. But welcome to the podcast. Welcome to B2B, Jason.
Thank you guys for having me. This is way too official.
It's so official.
Like you guys haven't paid your
so
dues
official.
at all.
I know.
Of going through
I
the
know.
podcast, like the early days of podcasting.
I know.
You just immediately hit the ground running.
They sound
It's too
good though. They sound good. The
way
production
too
quality,
good.
and
No.
that was our whole goal to begin with. Was like we don't want to start in our bedroom. We don't want to start with a bad camera, bad microphone.
Right, if we're
Like,
gonna
we
do
just
it, we're
wanted to go-
going-
Like
Absolutely
when
hard
this
in the
blows
paint.
up and people are like, "Oh, let me see your first couple episodes. I bet they're terrible." They're gonna be too good.
I
Cheers,
hope
man.
so.
Thank you.
I hope so. But anyway,
Yeah.
thank you for being
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Is this your first podcast?
First non-sports betting and gaming related podcast.
Sports betting and gaming.
And that's the industry you work in, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Sports betting and gambling.
So first non-work. I guess maybe this is work, but first
Yeah.
normal career.
Yeah.
How did those go?
It's easier because it just like spews out of you, and you're trying to sell people and raise money and talk about
Yeah.
the journey.
Less fun? Yeah.
So much less fun.
You are a big sports guy.
Yeah.
You are everybody's go-to gambling expert. How does
Yeah.
that feel?
But see, that's the thing. I wish if those podcasts were asking me about props for this weekend, I'll do that every day. That's totally
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Well, let's get into what the people want to hear, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be that your grandma is an absolute icon.
Truly
I
legendary.
think for the listeners, you probably know her from her hit song Santa Baby, which is just outrageous to even say. Like your grandma wrote and sings Santa Baby, the original one.
Yeah, because you get reminded.
If you don't know her
Oh,
from
yeah.
Santa Baby, you definitely know her from being Madame Zeroni.
In Holes.
or Yzma, one of the.
Yeah, and if you
Yzma.
don't know her from being Madame Zeroni in Holes, you definitely know her from being Yzma in The Emperor's New Groove.
Like unbiasedly, not the best Disney movie ever, but the most
Yeah.
underrated. Where like people don't talk about it, but when you bring it up, everyone's like, "Oh hell yeah!"
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
knows
That
it.
movie
Everybody's
fucking
seen
rocks.
it.
Yeah.
So she's an absolute icon, right? A singer, an actor, an activist. What was it like growing up having Eartha Kitt as your grandma?
Yeah. Interesting because my mom was her manager. So when I wasn't in school, like in the summer, we would just do whatever she was doing.
Yeah.
And I was so young. Like, you're like 7, 8, 9 years old. You just don't process any of it. You know,
Right.
it's like a little different.
Yeah. You're like,
but,
what's going on?
Yeah, like we like fly to Morocco to perform for the king, and I played Pokemon the whole trip.
He's like, I need to game.
You don't appreciate it. You don't like.
Oh my God.
You're like, wow, this is cool, but I didn't like the food. I thought the water tasted weird. I just wanted to play Game Boy.
At what age did it hit where you like took a step back? You're like, wow, my grandma's actually truly an icon. Like she's not just my grandma, but she's actually this to so many other people.
Yeah, I have the exact moment, like the exact situation. I remember vividly where I was. I was in 5th grade. Get Rich or Die Trying just came out. Shout out 50. I listened to like every day on my way to school. And her life story is wild. So there were already like people trying to make a movie about her life. Beyonce and Janet Jackson were like publicly saying they wanted to play her. And sure, I like those people, but they didn't really matter. And one day my mom calls me into her office and she's like, you just have to sit and listen to this call. And I'm sitting in the corner and a guy gets on the phone. He's just stuttering over his words. He's like, hey, Eartha, like, I don't know how to say this. I'm a huge fan. My name is Curtis Jackson. I'm 50 Cent.
Oh,
And
my God.
My grandma just mutes the phone. And
You
she's
were in the room?
in the room. She's like, who is this Mr. Cent? And I never like
Mr. Cent?
I never say anything. And I just looked at her and I'm like, holy
You're like,
shit,
Grandma.
That's 50.
Mr. Cent.
Did you call her grandma?
I called her Nana.
Nana.
Nana?
Yeah.
I like that.
How old were you with that 50 Cent story?
That was like 5th grade.
Fifth
And
grade.
I literally walked out of the room. He was like saying this whole piece about how he wanted his girlfriend to play her in the movie. He wanted to produce it. And before I was kind of like indifferent. I would go, she'd be performing on Broadway.
Yeah.
On The Wicked Witch of the West, I would pull the trap door, but I didn't want to be there. I don't want to go on Broadway.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be there the first time. I didn't want to be there the 70th time.
No
Right.
5th grader wants to be a Broadway.
Yeah,
Literally.
literally never
Yeah.
one time.
Yeah.
So none of that really mattered. But the second I walked out of that room, I was like, "Wow, my grandma's so cool," and I never thought of her the same way again.
I feel like has there been a movie on her story at all? I know she wrote like autobiographies and stuff, but has there been a full-fledged film?
So there's a documentary or two that are floating around, and the life story is kind of crazy. But there is stuff in the works. The family has like been kind of waiting for the right moment, the right person to play her,
Right.
the right producer, and like for them, it's more about the art and like telling the story.
It has to be
they don't
done
care about the
extremely
money.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
so,
needs to
like,
be an honor.
My mom has been very protective over when, like
I'm
who
sure.
does it and when it happens.
So it's not an if, it's essentially when at this point.
I think so.
When did your mom take over the managerial position for your grandma?
That's actually a great question because there were like lots of people in and out, but probably like really from the time that I was 8, 9, 10, I can't really remember her like not doing that.
Yeah, and it was just because she trusted her. She knew it was her daughter. She was going to look out for money or
and
person.
like my mom doesn't even know her father, so she's an only child, so
Oh,
they're
wow.
just like
Wow.
Wow.
didn't matter what they were going through, and they've been through
Wow.
some shit.
Yeah.
It was just them two, so
Yeah.
That's actually amazing.
That's the trust tree. That's the extent of it right
Yeah.
there.
Wow. Okay, so growing up in that extremely rare environment, did the fame of your grandma and like the figure that she was kind of trickle down in a way to you where did you ever get recognized or, people had this interest in you just because you were her grandson?
Even still, like on Instagram, I get, especially like because of what she was in the African American culture and like some of the activism work she did, I definitely have lots of people who follow me and I have no idea who they are. Every time my mom posts something, like a picture of us, it's just like 20 followers. I have no idea who they are.
I'm sure she has like true fan
Yeah, you probably get
groups,
fan mail all the
absolute
time to
cult.
this day.
I was in Saint Tropez 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Sitting at, I think it was Biblos, And I go to the bathroom, I come out for lunch, and there's this random woman sitting next to Jackie, like talking her ear off, and she's working on a perfume line dedicated to my grandmother, like as we speak, working with my mom.
So
my sister's like
insane.
doing the modeling and advertising, and she was like, I thought I recognized you. I had to come over and say something. I texted your mom and was like, is he in San Tropez right now? And yeah, so
oh my
that's
God.
truly wild.
I mean, the
Like,
chances
what
of
an
that
icon.
is like, that's truly some crazy universal shit.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that is so wild.
What is your favorite work by your grandmother?
I mean, it's hard for me to not say Emperor's New Groove because it's like a genuinely good movie.
Yeah.
Her and Kronk, like one of the best duos in
And then
in
they
any
made
movie I
a
can
spin-off,
think of.
right? It was like
They made a
Kronk's
whole
New
show.
Groove or
They made a
something.
whole show like
Yeah.
on Disney.
What?
So
Oh my
crazy.
God. What was your favorite memory growing up having Eartha as your grandma?
It's honestly the little things. The Disney studio and them like drawing cartoons of me. That's pretty cool when
Yeah.
you're a kid. But it's honestly, as much as I talk down on the Broadway experiences, it is the little things like remembering eating Chinese food, being backstage just for all those nights, like while
Yeah.
she was getting ready, putting the makeup on.
Yeah.
So those are like the things that I think about the
Yeah.
most.
What was her role in The Wicked Witch of the West?
That's what she was.
She was the Wicked Witch.
I mean, but honestly, like she, like, not that she was evil, but like she embodied that character. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't even have to. It's just like,
Well, Madame
all of her-
Zeroni,
well,
like,
that's
oh my
all
God,
of her
she knows how to
characters.
be witchy.
yeah,
Yeah.
Catwoman, like that's her vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catwoman, it's not a character, it's her.
Yeah.
Is there a? So she was the original Catwoman, right, in the
Yeah.
Batman series, like the
Adam
television
West,
series.
Yeah, OG Batman.
Do you think there's a modern singer or modern actor that you would say like is the modern day Eartha Kitt, if you had to pick?
Wow. Yeah. Good question. I don't want to like
I know.
put her on this pedestal, but like, you know, the like Beyonce's of the world. I mean, it's just kind of crazy because at the time, there were no black women breaking in to media, entertainment, music.
Yeah.
And especially ones who were like using their sexuality at all, anything.
Right.
That's always been a weird thing. Because when I was in middle school, my friends thought it was so funny to send me pictures of like my grandma doing some sexy
Did they
shit.
make fun of you?
And I was just like, look, the line is grandma in lingerie. That's where I'm drawing it.
Oh my God.
You can push it far, but that's where we have to cut it off.
It's actually crazy when you think of kids nowadays, like how accessible it is for their friends to see like their mom's OnlyFans.
There's gonna be a lot of people with a lot of
It's
excitement.
I mean,
crazy.
if we have a kid one day, they're gonna be scrolling on your Instagram and be like, "My mom's got a Tonka trunk."
Not the Tonka. That's insane. But yeah, I mean, Jason, your grandma is truly such an icon, like a cultural icon. I feel like she changed the world.
She
Yeah.
did. Can you give us a quick overview of the scrap she got in at the White House?
Yeah, so of all the things that happened in her life, I definitely think the Vietnam War White House story is the number one craziest. It's kind of hard to beat.
Yeah.
So during the Vietnam War, obviously lots of people felt like we weren't fighting it for the right reasons. She was very outspoken against that. And at the time, Lyndon Johnson was president, Lady Bird was his wife, and she was doing this televised kind of like scripted luncheon with all these famous women in the US. And so she invited Eartha, and probably, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes in, all of a sudden, she just goes completely off script and on national TV just starts speaking out against the Vietnam War. Like, you're sending our sons there to die for no reason. And the media freaks out, and a couple like days, weeks go by, and Lyndon Johnson asked the CIA and the FBI to like find something on her, investigate her, find something, and eventually they just like kind of kicked her out of the country for like 10 years.
Was she almost like deported essentially?
Yeah, they were just like, you know, they
Bye.
said it nice. They give you like a nice way of doing it first. They're like, you should probably leave, and then you know
That's crazy. I mean, and she was born in the States, so it's like to be deported from the country that you're a citizen of is.
This
is
was like the
crazy.
height of her career too.
Right,
So
and
she
it's sort
was
of
like peaking as
It
an
led
actress.
to like a little downfall in her career that she then overcame.
Yeah.
Later, right?
Yeah, when she came back, like, you know, she was kind of looking for work and doing little gigs here overseas for 10 years. She came back and she had to do, like, she did some obscure kind of like off the beaten path stuff. And then eventually she got the role as in Boomerang with Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time she was like getting into her like MILF/GILF era.
Gilf.
And everyone was like, "Oh, Eartha Kitt is back." And
Unlocked.
She's back and better than ever.
Yeah,
The Gilf.
this was like a young Eddie Murphy too, and she was like seducing him during the movie. It's wild to look back.
We have to watch that, I think.
It's a good movie.
How does it make you feel that Eddie Murphy wanted to bang your grandma?
Honestly, like she had so much aura. You just gotta respect it.
Yeah, you
Aura
do.
points
You
on a
do.
million.
You gotta respect.
You do.
it.
I wish Eddie Murphy wanted to bang my grandma.
Well, okay. I mean, honestly, the whole thing is just absolutely insane to me, and
It is like the coolest fun fact of all time.
it did it. The funny thing about it is, like, we had been friends with you for so long, it didn't come up until way into the friendship, and I'm like, wait, what? Your grandma's who?
Yeah.
Like, it's just insane.
Because
But
she's like one layer removed. Like all of our parents know her.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
you have to like do the Yzma and the Madame Zeroni thing and the Santa Baby thing, and then it
Yeah.
clicks with people.
Yeah.
So we're like just one generation
Yeah.
below.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like for anyone, 50, 60 and up, she's
A household
an
name.
A-list
yeah,
celebrity.
yeah.
She is
for
an
sure.
A-list celebrity. She's an icon.
Yeah, she paved the way.
So having a grandma that is an A-list celebrity, that is a singer, that has probably billions of streams across her
Look,
discography.
if there's one thing you can do as an artist, it is write a holiday song. Because
Mariah
every
Carey
year
pays the bills.
The royalties, they just stack up.
They just come every year.
Forget about a song that you like or that tops like the pop charts. No, you want a Christmas song.
Yeah,
Yep.
every
Feliz
year.
Navidad, those guys are king.
Run it back every year. Run it back.
They don't need to do anything else ever again.
And it will always be. It will never not be. It truly will never not be.
100 years, 200 years, Feliz Navidad is still going strong.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Did she influence you to get into music, right? So I backtracking to the intro, you are a DJ. You've played some pretty amazing gigs that I think a lot of people would kill to have. It's not your main source of income. It's not your main career by any chance, but did your grandma like influence you to want to break into DJing or the music scene in general?
I never consciously thought about it, but like looking back, I think probably the biggest influence that she has is like she's truly like her own independent person and just kind of like pursues her passion. She doesn't care what anybody else thinks and just kind of like does her thing.
Yeah.
And looking back, that's probably like that attitude is something both in the entrepreneurial world and in music, like I think is like deep in my core. So in that way, looking back subconsciously, probably because I'm just wired to like, oh, you're passionate about this thing. You have sort of like the instincts and you have a good feel for it. You have, you have the right energy, then you should do it.
Yeah, and go after it.
And you are very independent in the sense that you don't have a team, you don't have a manager, you don't have an agent, but you're still able to score like these big gigs, right? And be direct support for the Summits, the Vintage Cultures, the Peggy Goos of the world. How do you go about like getting a gig like that if it's almost, would you say it's a hobby of yours? Like, is DJing a hobby?
Yeah.
How do you go about
anytime that anyone hands me a single dollar for it, I'm just like, why? I would pay you to do it.
Yeah,
What are we
exactly.
doing?
You're here for the vibes.
Yeah.
So how do you go about getting gigs that people would kill to have, who do have teams, who do have managers? Like, what is your pathway to get
Yeah,
those?
how does that happen?
It's honestly, it's kind of like a twofold where obviously the network comes first, but there's a lot of people that know a lot of people and still don't get some of the opportunities that I've been blessed with. Part of it, to me, is there are lots of DJs and producers out there who are like trying to make a name for themselves, and I respect those people and they're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
I've always kind of known that that's not me. I'm a curator, not a creator.
Yeah.
Like, I see these people, they hear this the like gust of wind or a door slam, and it's like inspiration for a song. That has literally never happened to me, and it never will.
You never want to produce?
It's I don't have the instincts for it.
Yeah.
I think I could like learn enough to be very average.
Yeah.
But I know that I don't have like the intuitive skill set to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
And for me, like the reason I got into DJing was I'm most passionate about like curating the vibe and like having the right energy. I was the aux cord friend, and I felt very
Still
strongly
are.
like, yeah, if we're in a car or on a boat or like whatever time of day it is, like the vibe has to be proper. And that's really like why I still do it. And I think that mentality, like, because I'm not a producer, because I'm not trying to be famous and like trying to take it to this crazy level, I don't go into any show with any agenda other than like I'm gonna set the perfect vibe
Right.
Yeah.
for everyone in this room. I don't have any songs I'm trying to get out there. I'm not gonna like annoy the headline DJ's manager.
Right.
I'm not gonna do any of that.
Yeah, you
stuff.
have no agenda. You're just going purely off
I'm
of
just
vibe.
like I'm gonna do exactly what I'm here to do, which is like warm this room up or close it down proper.
Yeah.
And I think that the people in my network who see like how passionate I am about not just music but that element of it, I think that resonates with them. They probably have to deal with lots of people who like step out of line.
Big
Oh,
characters
for sure.
who are letting their character lead or the personality.
So
Yeah, that
for
makes
you,
sense.
it's networking and building a network of some pretty cool people that have kind of opened doors for you when it comes to these bigger
and they know
shows.
it's super authentic, like the way the way that I approach each set, and the reason that I do it is like for nothing else other than that's like I want the vibe to be perfect.
So
very evident.
one thing about you is you know how to, of course, read a vibe, but you know how to put together a really good playlist, which ties into reading the vibe. But I actually did a little deep dive into your Spotify, and like the names of some of these playlists gave me a chuckle. I did enjoy that. You can name some.
Yeah, there's a few that I can name, but I like taking people to like a certain time and place, like when they're thinking about the music that they're going to be listening to. There's Tulum Jungle stuff, there's Soho House stuff.
Yes.
And honestly, I'm kind of thinking about curating in that way every single time I'm listening to music. Like those playlists, the sets that I'm playing, every time I hear a song, I'm immediately thinking perfect for 6 p.m. At sunset.
Right, you just know exactly when someone wants to hear the song.
What bucket does it go into?
So like a lot of times I'll start one of these playlists, like a Tulum Jungle one. Look at this beautiful view. I started that looking at a beautiful view in the Tulum Jungle like 5 years ago, and it's still going. And it's just all that
Still
vibe,
going.
I
mean, we play the Soho Beach House one every time we're at Soho, and every single time everyone's like, "This is it. This is the one."
They're not paying me for that.
I know. I feel like this is a good business idea for anyone listening. Some sort of like monetization of playlist streams.
Soho House, if you're listening, sponsor your boy.
Do they let people monetize
I actually
on
saw a TikTok today. The guy was making almost $200,000 a year for just putting together the Chipotle playlist.
the Chipotle
Yeah,
playlist?
yeah.
I've definitely like been at some lounges and restaurants that are playing just fire music and asked whoever like, hey, like what
Pura
is this a
Vida
radio
plays
station?
great music.
What's the deal? And they often say like, yeah, we had someone put this together for.
People do get paid all the time for
Yeah,
that.
it's a great job.
Yeah. How is that not me? That's a disaster.
Well,
So-
there
what
you
am I
go.
doing?
Next business.
I mean, there you go, another venture for you. But Jason, I'm curious to know, how do you actually find your music? Like, you know, you dig deep? Are you looking through records? Are you Shazam King? What are you doing?
All the above. Shazam is huge. Friends are huge, but undoubtedly, like, it's the SoundCloud, Spotify rabbit hole.
Yeah.
The recommendation engines are great, but like on SoundCloud, you can really, once you know how to look, like through the recommended for you, if you're listening to a song, they have recommended tracks.
Yeah.
Finding certain artists, looking at like the edits and mashups that they repost. They're like a couple times a month. Next thing I look up, and I've been on SoundCloud for 3 hours. I'm like, I should have been doing like real work.
The SoundCloud algorithm is so good though, because it really like will escalate good songs that are like they only have 100 likes, 200 likes, that are from an artist that is so in your lane that you've never heard of, that no one's heard of, and all of a sudden it's like one of your favorite tracks. That just happened to me the other day.
It's definitely like an amazing platform for discoverability. I'm glad that like it didn't go under.
It almost went under.
It was close a couple times.
Chance the Rapper like saved it, right? Back
because
in the day.
how they like their actual business, I still think
It's free. Everything's free.
Is in question. I pay for it because I upload sets and stuff. But yeah, it's like not a particularly well monetized asset.
Yeah.
They kind of maybe they should hire. Like,
is that their only monetization is through uploads?
So they have that, and like they like have some advertising and stuff. But yeah, there's not enough.
Yeah.
Like there needs to be more levers that they're pulling.
Yeah.
They could do more.
Yes.
I like to think
SoundCloud,
of,
you could do more.
SoundCloud,
Take
hire
notes.
your boy.
Take
Do
notes.
more. Do better.
I like to think of you as like, we covered it a little earlier in the episode. You're a DJ by hobby, and I like to think of you as a seasonal DJ. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's almost entering the season, which is the Miami
Jason
winter.
season.
When
The
I
Miami season.
Yeah, the summer, it's like I'm not a good planner, so
Right.
like I wish I was the kind of person where it's like I'm gonna be in Saint Tropez in 3 months. Let me like start the process now of like reaching out to friends and maybe getting something booked. I'm always like I think I'm gonna do that, and then it's 2 weeks out, and I'm like,
Yeah, but sometimes
I didn't even
I feel
text
like
one person.
you manage to get up there no matter where you're going. It's like
When I was in the
I see a
Bahamas-
video, I'm like, oh, Jason's DJing
I was
here.
in the Bahamas for a bachelor party 3 weeks ago, and me and my boy Josh is not my manager, but he's like a pseudo manager, and he works in music. He books a lot of talent. Great
Cool.
dude. We were at a table at the only club in Baha Mar, and they were playing just truly some of the worst music that you can possibly play.
Yeah.
And like we had probably 20% of the club population at our table, and we convinced them to let me.
He's
They were
going
like, we convinced them to let me go up and DJ.
That's
Went up,
so funny.
got my headphones, went to the back, and I'm talking to this Bahamian guy, and he's like, "There's nowhere to put a USB. It's like you have a laptop." And I was like, "All right." This
Oh
is
my
not-
God! Wait,
it's
was
not gonna
there
work."
an
So you didn't- I
DJ
didn't end up
actively
doing it.
DJing, and you guys are just like, not anymore?
I would say actively is a strong word. There was a guy with a laptop pressing
He had to
play
play
on
the
Pressing
stuff.
shuffle, yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty much it.
That's so funny.
Never been in a DJ booth without a USB plug-in.
Yeah,
That's
what?
wild.
Yeah, it was like
That's just a beginner deck.
2003.
Yeah,
Like, it was-
what?
Beginner deck,
It
yeah.
was crazy.
That's crazy. So you have always just gone by Jason Shapiro as your DJ name.
Yeah.
Is that something that you want to change? Why haven't you ever had an alias or like a stage name?
Look, I'm open to it, I would say, because candidly, I feel like the Jewish last name, it doesn't roll off the tongue, you know? It's
Doesn't
not a
roll off
swaggy
the
last
tongue.
name. I'll be the first one to say it. I wish I had a different last name.
But I
What?
feel like
Well, it's cool,
It's a
but like,
great last name.
it's all right, but it's not great for show business.
Shapiro is a good last name. I feel like
Eartha Kitt, that works.
Jason Kitt.
See, it's just a small tweak, and I'd be
wait,
there.
yeah, I feel like we could cook up a DJ stage alley.
Well, there's been some thrown in the mix, like J Shap,
Yeah.
J Shappy.
Look, if
J.
ASAP
Shap
Rocky,
Rocky.
if he would let me into the ASAP mob, we'd be fine because I would just roll with J.
What
Shap
was it?
Rocky.
J Shap Rocky? I like that a
That's
lot.
my fantasy football team name.
I like
know.
you don't want to know my fantasy football team name.
Tell him,
now you
Roz.
have to tell us.
It's Team Cum.
Okay.
I mean, it's also part
That
of the
checks
last
out.
name.
Kaminsky, yeah.
Yeah.
We just
How do
spell
you
it
spell it though?
with a U.
Not like the last name.
I always find myself showing people my fantasy team, and then I seem like going like, "What is that?"
Yeah, you're like showing your
I'm like,
manager,
"Oh
he's
yeah,
like-
yeah,
It's a joke with my boys. You wouldn't.
yeah." You wouldn't get it. It's part of my last name. Don't worry about it.
I'm done.
Oh man, speaking of fantasy, you are the fantasy man.
Yeah.
So you co-founded a company essentially, right? That it set out to gamify gambling.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about
And
it.
how did it gamify gambling, and what did that journey sort of look like?
Yeah, for anyone who's ever bet on sports, whether it's at a physical casino or on an app, it's like the most transactional experience of all time. It's not that much more exciting than buying a stock. There's
Yeah.
like nothing fun about it, but the actual experience of like betting on sports with your boys is very social. It's competitive. Like there's a bragging rights element of like showing off your knowledge of the game, and none of the products really kind of like tap into that behavior. And that's partially because it's still early, but it's like it's an old school mentality. It's a
Yeah.
casino / UK.
You get your slip,
mentality.
you walk away.
And with sports betting kind of like coming online in the US in the last 5 years, I think that especially for this demographic and in this country, there's going to be a major shift in the expectation that people have for digital products, and especially young people like who grew up playing mobile games, watching streamers on social media. Their expectation is like, I can interact with my friends on this app.
Right.
It's gamified in some way. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm getting badges on like Uber Eats and Lyft. Those aren't
Right.
even games. They're not fun. I'm
Spending money.
I'm earning random shit that like I don't care about. But
Platinum
I'm like, I
Uber
hit a
Eats.
new level. Like
Yeah,
that's cool.
diamond.
And the fact that like none of these products have any of that built in was like such a glaringly obvious hole.
Yeah.
And so the whole hypothesis of the business was build something simple, intuitive, but that had like a second layer of interactivity on top of it.
Like a social network on top. You can see what your friends are doing, what bets are taking, or is it more like the profit boosts and like this is the hot bet, you should take it?
It's all of that, and
Yeah.
and then most importantly, I think not just like having a feed, seeing what your friends are doing, being able to tail it, but you can actually accrue value, like get a better payout if you're betting with like groups of friends.
Oh, interesting.
Which for anyone who bets socially, whether you agree and you're all rooting for the same outcome, or people disagree and there's trash talk, like either of those experiences are like a major driving force for why people participate.
Right.
So you can get a payout boost doing either one.
Right.
And that's there's like a real virality with that.
I feel like betting and gambling in general is like so mainstream right now. I guess maybe it used to be more taboo than it is, but if you open my like Instagram reels, my TikTok, you see people playing Plinko. You see like Steve will do it, throwing $300,000 blackjack hands. You see Tim Nocky, that guy I sent you, who bets 10 cents a follower on it. Like, it's so mainstream and it's so fun to watch. Just even other people put their money on the line.
It's also like the way that the like younger generation is treating it is different. Like, I think a lot of people are viewing it as part of their entertainment budget now, especially people that are younger, where like before maybe it felt a little more serious. Like a VIP gambler at a sportsbook used to be someone, it's like they're throwing 10 grand per game, and it's like it's a sweat, it's serious. This, I think a lot of younger people are like, I'm gonna do a parlay, I'm gonna try and turn $50 into 1,000 watching Thursday Night Football tonight, understanding that it's unlikely that it hits, but it's like buying a movie ticket. I'm just gonna make this Jets Patriots game that no one wants to watch like astronomically more fun.
It's like the Super Bowl. As soon as you throw money on the line, it literally could be a $10 parlay. All of a sudden, you're so invested in it, and like it makes it so much more fun of an experience.
And so I think actually like building that sort of mentality into the product, understanding that like there is a shift in mentality. People are viewing this as entertainment. Obviously, you have to be careful. It's a slippery slope, but I kind of think that behavior is at least healthier than previous.
I mean, personal
Definitely
experience.
a fine line with the unhealthy behavior.
It is a fine line. Personal experience is like, I truly felt like I was addicted to gambling in college. It's one of the only vices that I felt truly addicted to. Like, it had a hold on my life, and it started off great, right? It always starts off great. All of a sudden, you're up $10,000 in college, and you're like, "This is amazing!" Like, and then all of a sudden, you're down $10,000 in college, and that's all the money you had for that semester. And like, it's the one thing that I've truly quit. With that being said, I do throw some parlays. I do throw some sports bets. I'll play some blackjack in person.
The
and
hardest
stuff,
part
but, like,
about vices always to me though is like, if people have a vice and they like want to act on it, it's going to be really hard to stop them from acting on it. And so the reality is, instead of like, it was predominantly illegal offshore books where there's no rules, there's no regulation, they can do whatever they want. All of a sudden they could disappear, take your money. There's no recourse for that. So like that versus actually like building a fun regulated product, it's probably the lesser of two evils.
Right. It's going to happen anyway. Make it a little safer.
I mean, we would use Bovada back in the day in college, and like we would start a fake account because our other account would be like locked out for some reason.
They can do whatever
you withdraw they want. We ran up. I remember this story so well. We ran up like an $8,000 tab on Bovada, right? Me and my buddy split, and then we went to like withdraw, and we forgot all of the password, all because it was a combination of our names in the account, and it was all fake information. And we're like, oh wait, now there's like real fucking money that we need to get out. And then all of a sudden it was locked and like couldn't get it back. We checked 6 months later. The money was sitting there. We got access to the account again. First thing I did, I threw like a $3,000 hand. Like half of the pot, immediately lose it. I go, oh yeah, this is bad.
One of the first things I feel like we talked about when we first started dating was your gambling addiction. You're like, I used to be really addicted to gambling. I was like, okay.
That's nice that you were.
Thanks for telling me. I'm like, are you still? He's like, no. I'm like, okay.
It negatively affected my life, so I knew that like, I had to draw the line, and like I actually had to stop doing it. Now I'm in a different position. I'm not in college anymore. Like I'm more responsible about it. I feel like I can do it again.
Yeah.
But I feel like, and I hope if I find myself
slope, though.
in any other slippery slopes, that I can have the same realization that like this is negatively affecting my life. Let's knock it out.
Yeah. 100%. So, okay, you had this idea, you saw an opportunity, you saw a need for it. How did it turn from an idea to a full functioning app to then selling it to a ginormous company?
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, I had already been working in the space, building up a network. Like I had spent a fair amount of time thinking about like products and how they should work, and I had been at an earlier stage company at the time that I like met my other co-founders that was doing something along the same lines but not executing in the way that I would have wanted to see. So I had like a good foundation for jumping into kind of like a founder type role, but just like everything, total serendipity, and it's about like the people you meet, and then the like instincts and ambition to kind of act on it.
Yeah.
When I moved to Connecticut, the first person I ever met that was my age, we moved into this kid's house. Eric Reiner, shout out Eric, the man.
Shout out Eric.
Yeah, still friends with him. So he was a VC at this company, Sinai Ventures, and he knew I was working in sports betting and fantasy. He called me one day and was like, hey, we're evaluating this company. I like the founders. I like the team. I like the idea, but I don't know enough about the industry. Tell me what you think. And I'm reading through the deck, and I'm like, dude, this is my idea. Like,
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this for 4 years. Like, let me meet these guys. And I was already kind of feeling like where I was at was not the right place. So I flew to New York, met with one of the founders. We ended up meeting like 10 times before I decided to jump in. And as they were like trying to raise the pre-seed round, he was like, look, I got a kid. I need to go back to investment banking, but there are 2 other co-founders. One of them, our CTO, Brett, world-class, like 20x developer. Our CEO, Hanson, 3 degrees from MIT, award and MBA. And so I was sitting there being like, what's not happening at my current business is product execution. And these 2 guys, like, if I have a vision, they'll be able to take it and execute on it.
Yeah.
And I just was like, they hadn't even finished raising the pre-seed round. And he was like, do you want to just like try this full time? And I was like, yeah. He was like, you can be like the final founding member. And
wow.
And I just flew to New York, and we sat in front of a whiteboard. And right after we wrapped up the pre-seed round, we raised $2 million. We sat there and we were like, all right, what do we do now?
That's so serendipitous. It really is.
How old were you at that time?
That was, God, I don't even know how old I am now. Such a tough question. That was like 5 years ago. So I guess I was like 28.
And then when did you sell the Vivid Seats?
That was almost 3 years ago.
Okay, explain that a little bit, how that happened.
Yeah, I mean, also a lot of like some serendipity, but some like kind of taking action on and like being proactive. So because my other co-founders were way older than me, especially the banker, he gave me some good insight right off the bat, because I was doing all the fundraising, all the like external facing kind of like CEO type stuff. And he was like, go out there, and we're not even thinking about selling the company, but meet and build relationships with the most likely potential acquirers, because it's like any sales cycle. It takes time, and it's like there's a level of trust and relationship. So I started doing that. And what it really gave me was like a feel for the market, what was like a realistic range like that we could sell at, like from a valuation standpoint. But honestly, Vivid Seats, who was the acquiring business, they were going public via SPAC. They were doing their roadshow, and we had been in the market for like a year and a half. We had some good, like interesting early metrics. We had a really sticky product, and it was, you could open the app, you could see it was like a best in class product. It was like any sports book, any fantasy app. Ours was really strong, but they were doing their roadshow on Wall Street, and people were asking them, hey, you've got this great ticketing business. What's like synergistic that you might want to add? They were mentioning like fantasy and betting. One of our investors works on Wall Street, called me and was like, wow, these guys, they're interested in this space. Like, figure out how to get in touch with them. Yeah. So I just hit up our investors and was like, does anyone know anyone here? And someone knew Carmen Rossi, who is like Chicago nightlife and entertainment kingpin. And he was the one who ended up actually like being a liaison and like helping to make the introduction and make the deal happen.
So cool.
What has like, so you co-found a company, right? I assume it's like your baby, you grow it from X to Y. Once you get acquired, what sort of changes? Like, do you feel like your baby has been adopted and you don't have as much control over it as you used to? Like, what has that been like?
Yeah, there is, it does not matter how it happens. There's almost no way to prevent that feeling. Like, I've talked to entrepreneurs of all shapes and sizes. I actually think, all things considered, I've heard a lot of horror stories. Like, our experience has been great. They've given us like a lot of autonomy, but especially because they're not like a fantasy company, they're not a sports book. There's a massive learning curve to try and like get people to understand, especially because you're leveraging resources, customer support, creative, copywriting that they already have in place. And those people, like, yesterday they were doing a ticketing product, and then the next day they woke up and part of their job description was like working on sports betting
gambling
and fantasy stuff, and they're not all like necessarily bought in. And when you're at a startup, everyone on the team is like ultra bought in on the mission. Everyone knows the North Star. They eat, sleep, breathe it. And it's just, that experience is always like a little bit challenging. Yeah. But it's been good.
Yeah. Wow. I love it.
You've lived in New York, LA, now Miami, maybe some more that I missed. But having lived in like 3 major metropolises that everyone is kind of always comparing, what's your favorite and why?
Yeah, I did I've done I don't want to say it's like the top 4, but San Francisco, LA, New York, Miami, all like recently enough that I feel like I was old enough to have the same experience. I can give you all the on paper reasons why Miami is my favorite. It's literally as simple as you wake up, you walk outside, and you're like, fuck yeah.
You're happy.
Yeah, literally, that's my reason too.
I could be doing anything. I've had so many times where it's like, I'm going to the dentist, I'm going to physical therapy.
Our dentist is sick, by the way.
And then you're walking in Brickell, you go, I like this place. Holy shit.
The second I step outside, I like kind of forget that I'm doing something I really don't want to do at like 7 a.m. I'm just in a good mood.
Yeah.
Going back to the playlist idea, I love that dentist office,
playlist?
but I did have some notes on the music. You have to sit
He's
there.
like
You have to
getting
sit
a
there for
cleaning,
like an
thinking
hour or
about the
two.
songs.
Like the vibe should be proper. It should be right.
Have you had an MRI scan before where you have to be in the little tube with the
course.
music? What did you listen to?
I don't even know what I listened to.
I listened to Kiss 98.5. Not a good pick. It was terrible.
Why would you choose the Buffalo Pop radio
I was in
station?
Buffalo.
And you couldn't wear headphones.
I think that it was like these, yeah. I don't know. I don't sit still well, so it was like pretty bad
I've
experience.
never
for me.
gotten one.
Oh, am I right?
Knock on wood.
There's literally nothing less fun.
Horrible.
Yeah, they sound pretty miserable.
Yeah, because you're like, you gotta like breathe. Because once you start freaking out, it's
Well, you
no
have to
problem.
lay still
Scary.
too, and then the whole time you're thinking, I have to be still, I have to be still, I have to be still, I have to be still. Like literally, I'm not good at that.
The Tourette's come into play.
Yes, they do.
I think
Okay.
at that time in my life when I was getting MRIs playing hockey and stuff, I think I would have been listening to like old school hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
I was really into like throwback hip hop.
Really?
I can't get down
Like
with,
Biggie?
I don't want to be the old guy screaming at the cloud, but like it used to be poetry. What happened?
It used to be poetry.
Now it's like it's turn up music. Don't get me wrong. Time
is
and a
turn up
place
music.
Where I'm like, you know,
Yeah. What do you
future
miss?
type shit. That new song gets stuck in your head.
It's get turned music.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
you miss the hockey days though?
Oh my god, yeah,
I miss them so much.
yeah,
Literally some of the
Just
best
with the
days
boys.
ever.
Yeah.
The boys, the shower.
yeah. But that being said, like,
Of course, you missed the shower with your boys. What the fuck?
The locker room.
look,
I meant.
shower was only number 2 to the
Yeah,
boys,
yeah, yeah.
all right?
Come on,
It could've been
boys.
number
The boys
one.
in the shower is what
then
Ross
the
was
locker
It could've
room.
been number 1.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Are we excited for space, Mom?
I mean, honestly, it's Temple, you know?
Temple.
It is Temple.
I haven't been
We're
to
going to
Temple
church.
since my bar mitzvah, but like,
Neither have I.
it's bad.
Yeah. I consider myself a pretty bad Jew, but
I crushed my Torah portion.
as did I. My friends were watching porn in the synagogue when I was reading out of the Torah.
Did you
He's
ever
like,
DJ
"Alright."
a bar mitzvah?
No, but I think I would be.
That should be a bucket list item for you.
I think I would be pretty bad. I will say though, I have been to a few bar mitzvahs recently, and it is an all-time people watching experience because they do play electronic music, but it's like Afro
like,
jack.
da-da-da,
It's like
da-da,
main stage
yeah.
or ultra, like
Yeah.
everybody jump
Yeah.
music,
Yeah.
and but like the parents are drunk and dancing, and you watch that, and it's unbelievable.
I've never been to a
Oh.
bar mitzvah.
Really?
No.
I remember at my bar mitzvah it was big when like grinding was in. I don't know if that was in
yeah.
at
Grinding.
your 13
Look, if you grinded with a girl at a bar mitzvah, like you woke up the
Oh,
next
yeah.
morning, you told all your boys. it was
We had
huge news.
literally a grind train going that like stretched the whole dance floor. And then I remember I looked up, I was like, the whole room's empty. All of the parents walked out. They're like, we're not watching
parents
this. We
just
don't
leave the
endorse
grind
this. They
train?
walked out. I was like, yeah, we run this synagogue.
We're grinding in here.
That was like sex when you were 13. That
Yeah.
Yeah.
basically was it.
Yeah.
Literally.
Buffalo got down and dirty with the grinding. There was like this event called Charity Ball. At Charity Ball, it was a big grind fest.
Don't they still
big.
have like an event that you guys go to annually?
The world's biggest disco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The world's biggest disco is fun.
The world's largest disco is basically charity ball for adults,
Yeah.
except you dress up in 70s gear.
Look, disco is the genre of music that has withstood the test of time the best by far.
Oh my God.
If you put the Bee Gees on, you could be partying,
No,
you could be
exactly.
at the gym, you could
The
be
best
at the beach.
edits come
It's
from
the best.
disco,
It's
too.
all-
I feel like you can't not like disco.
Yeah, Jamaica.
Unless you just hate happiness.
Who's the,
Yeah.
the
Sorry.
one?
You hate
Who's
music?
the one DJ that threw down a crazy disco set that we loved? It was at We Belong Here. Like,
DJ Harvey.
DJ Harvey.
It wasn't at We Belong Here though, but yeah, that was a great set. So you've played at Splash House,
Yep.
We Belong Here,
Yep.
Common Ground.
Yeah.
Direct
What's
support
your
for-
dream venue?
Man, at this point, all my best experiences are one at like relatively intimate events where it's like I never dream in my head of like there's 10,000 people out there.
Mm-hmm.
I when I like envision these things in my head, it's like there's 500, maybe 1,000 in like a big room, but like people who are hyper engaged at something. And to me, it's got to be like outdoor, like, and like a beach jungle environment, like a Tulum style. There's a lot of them in Portugal and like something like that.
Yeah.
Costa Rica, like it's got to be that blend. There's something magical about the blend of beach and jungle. Yeah. And it's also like aligns with the music that deep down I like really wish I played
Speaking
the whole
of,
time.
is Brazil like that?
Yeah.
Okay, we need to get Brazil planned.
Brazil for New Year's.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the festival you went to in Brazil.
I mean, I've been to so many events. Shout out Réveillon Carneiros. I think we're going back this year.
We're coming.
We have to go.
Yeah.
By far the best executed event I've ever seen.
What makes it so good?
The vibe, the music, all that stuff was great. But to me, it was like all the little details of like what makes your experience at a festival so good. One, logistics. Maybe it's because I'm old, but like...
Oh no, logistics plays a huge role.
Being able to walk to and from the festival from your house, there is no higher high to lower low than leaving Coachella. It's
oh my God.
Quite literally...
My God. No, truly.
You were down the absolute worst.
We were walking
Truly,
distance this year, thank God.
Few things are worse.
It's just so
You
bad.
tried to warn me too, and I was like, oh, we'll be fine. And I was like...
Nothing can prepare you. All of a sudden, it's cold.
My bones are broken.
All of a sudden, it's freezing.
You've been literally frying all day. It's cold. Yeah. You're like, it's like a 2-mile
You're inhaling
walk.
pounds of dust.
Even the artists, like Alesso had to wait 2 hours to try and get out of the parking lot this year. So like logistics is huge.
Yeah.
But to me, like it was all you can eat, all you can drink, which in the US, if you do that, it's a disaster. If you did that in America, there would be people sprawled everywhere. Yeah. You'd go into the buffet, there's not a single thing you'd want to eat.
Yeah.
This was like you look around, it's 6 a.m, everyone looks good as fuck.
Oh yeah,
no one's had too much to drink. The ground is clean. I wore shoes only the first day. There were 6 days after that and never put on shoes again.
Just Birks or something.
I love that vibe.
Not Birks.
Not
barefoot.
Wow.
To the festival. Our house was right next
door. The Brazilian boy.
I walked 3 minutes on the beach and then we were inside.
Such a vibe.
Just completely barefoot.
I can't wait to go.
No trash on the ground and all the little details from like how organized everything was, dropping rose petals on the crowd at like 6 a.m. on New Year's Day.
That's so special.
And it's in the middle of nowhere. So like if you forget, it's not like, oh, I'm going to run to Walmart and like go pick something up. If you forget anything, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So it was just super dialed.
So you played like, we've mentioned it a couple times, you've opened for some pretty big artists. Do you have any memorable stories through those experiences? Was anyone a dick? Was anyone super cool?
Everyone for the most part is always really cool. Honestly, by far the most memorable this was actually 2 weeks after we sold Betcha to Vivid Seats. Just happened to align. It was New Year's. And my buddy Josh was doing a run of shows at a hotel in Tulum. We were doing like surprise, unannounced artists. And it was like Summit, Claptone, Gordo, Vintage. They were all there. And he had been working with them for a while. And so that week we stayed in Tulum and most of them like stayed at the hotel with us. Mm-hmm. Some of them stayed for multiple days. Like Summit was there for a couple days, Gordo for a couple days, Vintage was there for like 3-4 days. And these shows were really intimate. It was like a pretty small hotel. So the entire time you're just kind of like chilling with them. They come every night to like see whoever else is playing. And like that kind of experience, it's so hard to get like that kind of consistent interaction and just like it was our playground. Like you just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Damn.
You got
Tulum
your cartel guy.
So not cool anymore.
The thing is, the cartel stuff is scary.
It's dangerous as fuck there now.
Yeah, but like every time I go and now the airport's open, I think we should try and bring it back.
That's a good
it's
point.
pretty elite.
We can go direct.
It's
from
close.
Miami to Tulum, we go direct.
You
now?
could be checking.
Part
into a
of
hotel in
the
3
biggest
hours.
issue of Tulum was having to do that stupid drive from
100%.
Cancun to Tulum. Now that airport might change things, but still scared about the cartel coming and shooting me in the head.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not ideal.
No.
I would say.
No.
But at the same time, I'm down to risk it.
Okay, so how do you define your sound? Like, what's your favorite genre to play? What gets you the most hype and excited to like play a new track?
It's funny to think about because it's an ever evolving thing. I've recently, I've been DJing for 7 years. Even in the last year, I've been saying to people recently, I think I've found exactly what I'm looking for, and it's kind of this like a lot of people want to be in like one lane. This is the kind of music I play. This is what you expect. I've never thought of myself like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just go into a room and I'm like, I'm gonna play music that makes people dance.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But this blend, there's kind of this like baby that I'm trying to make, where it's deep house, a little bit of like minimal and deep tech. Like there's something there where I think that those sounds can mesh that I'm really enjoying.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wish I could play it more. But like I love playing organic house, just strip away like the All Day I Dream, Lee Burridge, Jim Ryder's like by far my favorite producer. Beautiful melodies, but like driving bass lines where like if you're in an intimate room with good sound and you're on the dance floor and you like are connecting with the environment around you, that is just those to me are like by far my favorite parties.
I really love the whole movement of like genres don't exist because first of all, I don't even know what any genres are
so many,
to begin with.
There's so many different
There's
houses.
so many. I have no idea what constitutes a specific genre at all. So it makes my life a lot easier. But I also just love like a good set is a good set and playing things that make sense and like not necessarily having to stick within a specific genre.
I don't know why anyone would want to like narrow themselves to that.
Right.
You just walk into a room and you start playing stuff and see what people are feeling. But like I'm just always thinking like I'm just trying to make people dance.
So is that like your kind of gauge for the vibe monitor is like how much people are moving rather than yapping on the dance floor?
And even sometimes I'll like, you know, when I would play at Joya a bunch and it would be Friday at 6, 7, 8 p.m. I'll understand that like early on in the night, especially like people are kind of lounging and chilling, and obviously that feeds into like the kind of music I'm trying to play. So I don't expect them to be dancing, but I'm like intently watching people's movements, and like you can kind of feel if people are reacting to a track in a certain way. You also always take a mental note. Like there's some songs that they just go off every single time.
Yeah, there's like your go-to. What is your go-to song if like you need to bring the room back to life?
So there's a track, Oye Mama. It's like a Latin house song. I play it in a lot of different settings, and it's like a perfect connector. It like raises the energy.
The reset button.
There's no lyrics, but it's a banger, and it's very low key.
Sick. Who is your dream B2B if you could go with one artist?
Oh, man, I already talked about Jim Ryder. So
is it Jim Ryder? Could be the same person.
Yeah,
he's got to be up there. He just like his music is perfect.
I was like so sure you were gonna say Anthony Middleton.
Maybe, yeah. Actually, the thing is, that's speaking of wizards. They're just like he's a level above. Him and Mitagami are two people where like when they're up there, there's some DJs where I'm like they're playing a song, they're playing a next song, and then there's people who are like weaving sounds together for 2 hours and like some masterclass.
Wizards.
After seeing Mitagami at Space, I felt so empowered to actually tell him how much I loved his set. I was like, your set was a masterclass. Like I fucking loved it so much.
Watching him up close for those 3 hours, because it really is like you can tell like, okay, it's one song, it's another song. He's like weaving songs together for 3 hours. You don't even notice it. He's just like making. If
I don't see the Mitagami orchestra set, like
that's why I don't produce.
I'm pouting and throwing a temper tantrum.
That's why I don't feel like producing. Not that I
need to see it
like,
so bad.
Do it to an extent, but I'm seeing Mitagami's like composing an orchestra.
Yeah,
that's who
literally
should be producing. You don't need to hear my tracks. Listen to Mitagami.
Is that a running event?
That's only the second or third time he's done it. Which obviously doing it at Burning Man at Mind Warrior is pretty special.
So insane.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things where like if you do it. I'm sure I've actually heard rumors that he's working on something that like he's gonna bring that and make it into a show. You don't want to like do too big of a tour because you want to make it like,
intimate.
You can only experience this a couple times in like some unique locations.
Yeah. Damn. Do you have any shows coming up that we don't know about yet?
I'm playing a bunch of weddings.
Friends' weddings, right?
Which is the best.
They tap you in for those pretty often.
Like how is everyone not doing that? Not just me, but like their friends in general. I mean,
well, okay, wait. Actually,
weddings.
Explain this to me. Are you invited as a guest to the wedding, or are you hired as staff at the wedding.
Would you be invited if you weren't playing?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
These are like good
So
friends.
do you sit down for dinner?
Yeah, they keep asking me like, "Are you sure? Like, we want you to have fun." I'm like, "You think I want to talk to
You
all
have
these
so
people?"
much more fun DJing.
Yeah.
One thing I know about you is you are way more
That
comfortable.
is such a personality
This is
trait.
my
DJing.
best, this is the best case scenario.
I
Yeah.
know you're having the most fun at a party, at an event, when you're on the decks and you don't have to mingle. Like,
Truthfully,
that's
if
just
I could
facts.
be behind the decks at weddings rather than talking to people that I don't know and haven't seen in 10 years, I would be much happier too.
Look, shout out to weddings. It's a beautiful celebration of love, but I gotta say, it's a huge, like, the cookie cutter wedding is a huge pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
It's just like, I can't imagine. It's the best. It's one of the best days of your life, and you're gonna throw a party that you would never attend, like
Ever.
You're gonna. It's
Ever.
like a Dua Lipa and Bruno Mars. It's like everyone's been to the same wedding
Yeah.
100 times. Don't you want to like
Pissing money
reflect
away.
who you guys are as a couple and a personality and like make it something unique and different?
That's why when you go to a wedding where they do that, it's like,
Yeah.
this is the best party I've ever been to.
I can't believe people like. It's unfortunate because I feel like people just get sold like this is the out of the box. You're gonna work with this planner. This is how it looks.
Well, I
It can
feel
look
like you have
however
to
want.
please. I think the thing about weddings is
Please the parents.
they become not about you by the end. By the time that you've done all the planning, you've invited all the people, at the end of the day, you're so stressed. It's not even enjoyable. It becomes about everyone else and not yourself.
Look, I've been to
And,
bar mitzvahs.
like-
I've seen. You can play whatever music you want. If you serve enough alcohol, those parents will have fun. They will dance.
Well, that's the thing. At a wedding, you just have to get really drunk.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they're making me do. Yeah, anyway.
Jason, you are a cat dad to one of the cutest cats maybe on the planet. We'll insert a picture here. She's
Unbiasedly.
Unbiasedly-
If you have eyeballs that are functioning, you're
objectively and
No way you
outrageously
can't think
cute
it's the
cat.
cutest cat in the
You
world.
were never a cat person. You were never a pet person. Do you like pets?
In
now?
fact, you were quite the opposite.
Yeah, you know, I wanna put on the record. Dogs are cool. Animals are cool.
He's not an animal hater.
I love them.
He just didn't want one.
Shout out to all my dogs and cats. I definitely never. Yeah. I definitely never even thought for 1 second about not just having a cat, but like what cats even do. So I
Yeah.
had no concept of like why would you get one? what is the purpose? And I kind of thought like a lot of them were ugly.
Yeah.
So one, Cannoli walks in, she's super cute. It was Jackie. Like she came home one day, acting so sus. Wasn't saying anything, and I was like, what is your deal right now? And after like 10 minutes, she was just like, all right, fine. And backdrop, never one time had spoken about a cat ever. Like, not getting one, not that they exist, no cat conversation.
Not that they exist.
No acknowledgement of cats.
It's the first time cats came up in your relationship.
She
I was
must have
like-
been really thinking about it.
She had already
privately.
gone to see. She had already met Cannoli. She was
all
like,
secretly.
I found this cat that I like have to get. And,
She's like, I can't stop thinking about it.
and eventually, I was like, yeah, look, as long as like we travel a lot, as long as it doesn't interfere too much with our lifestyle and like the flexibility we have, I'm here for it. And
So it was an easy conversation.
It was.
You weren't like, absolutely not. No,
No.
cats in this house.
No, I
Could
was
you
pretty
ever
open to
Okay,
picture
good.
your life without cannoli now?
Look, I'm not gonna go as far to say I'm a cat person, but I'm a huge cannoli person.
Cannoli person.
Yeah.
And to that point, Cannoli truly is, yes, she is a cat, but she's more than a cat. She is an angelic figure.
Look,
She's a stuffed animal. She's not real.
Yeah, no, not really.
I work from home. Her vibe is immaculate. She is so cool,
She's so cool.
and
We love terrorizing her at the afters.
I just can't look at her face.
Insert picture.
Yeah, another picture.
Terrorizing Cannoli.
Every time I look over at her face, a lot of times she's doing something like just like 10% sus, so it's kind of funny. And two, just her face makes me laugh. I mean, just
They're
all
they're
the time.
life enhancers. Obviously, we got Lila, our dog, and like I could never picture life without her anymore. Like truly, so much. I don't know what we would do
beyond.
together without
It's
our dog. We
beyond.
would literally fight,
Yeah.
punch each other in the
No,
face.
I actually can't remember like what we did because 90% of what we do now is just talking about Lila, kissing Lila, hugging Lila, cuddling with
Yeah.
Lila.
It's all her.
I think the unintentional comedy value of animals is something that I like. I had dogs growing up, but I hadn't like, maybe it was just like a cat thing. I hadn't really processed just like, they're not trying to be funny, but they're
No,
so
certain
much
animals
fucking
are
hilarious,
so
dude.
hilarious.
ridiculous shit that goes on.
the way
Cannoli
they move.
is inherently hilarious.
I mean, her face is just like, I don't know what it is, but it's comedy.
She's just
She's a
so
little
absurd
pinched
looking.
in.
Like, it's hard to believe that she's actually a real functioning creature with like organs and a brain.
She'd be very proud of the real estate she's getting on this podcast right now.
I know.
Deservingly
Cannoli
so.
deserves it all.
I met
What
a girl
if
at Space one
Cannoli
time.
is Eartha reincarnated?
I could see it. Honestly.
Oh my God, I
That
just
makes-
actually discovered something.
I literally met
some
somebody
sense.
at Space one time, and somehow maybe it was my background, or I showed them a picture of Lila, and they go, "Oh, I know you." I was like, "What? Like,
the
you
queen
know
of
me
That's
through
the
my
queen of
dog?"
Virgo.
That's the queen of Miami now.
Yeah.
She actually leveled up.
That's the thing is, everyone knows the queen.
Yeah.
You know?
Duh. So we want to end every episode with a song that we have been playing on repeat. And I'll start. My song I actually Shazammed at your set last weekend.
Okay.
You know it. Stop, Raphael.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I listened to that song literally 10 times
I
in
mean,
a row
all
today.
the Maccabee House, like,
Any
everything that they're
single-
putting out right now,
no.
they're bringing funk back.
So what's the song that you've been banging?
I've been playing a lot of the Maccabee House stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shout out two like up and coming artists. I've been listening to a lot of this guy Drake Kenyon. He has a couple songs, "Lose My Breath," "Feel and Move." I've been listening to a lot of his tracks, and Justin Villauer, a guy in Miami. It's
Awesome.
like deep house, but they're sampling like a lot of old school vocals, and it's like really good bass lines.
Sweet.
So I'm liking a lot of their stuff.
Send them over.
I will.
There's been a bit of a debate between us of if it's pronounced Maccabee or Maccabi.
It's Maccabi. I learned.
I think it's a choose your own adventure. That's how I see. That's how I choose.
That's how I think everything in the world is with pronunciation,
I agree.
especially, with us.
Yeah.
We choose our own
Who
adventure.
are these pronunciation, please?
Jackie.
All right. Well, we're gonna have a talk.
Jackie. His girlfriend is literally the pronunciation police.
Yeah, they come at us pretty
For our
pretty
accent,
heavily.
because we say Cal and Val.
Cal and Val
And Sal.
I think the song I've been banging, we'll throw back to Maccabi label. What the hell?
By Sapien.
Just one of the new,
I think it's number one on
releases.
Beatport.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, it's such a banger. Did
Maybe
you play
just
it
Indie
last
Dance.
weekend?
No, but I was thinking
Somebody
about it.
did.
There's some songs where it doesn't matter where I am. If I'm playing and I'm scrolling through my USB and I see it, I'm just like, oh, I gotta play it. Like,
Just
have
like,
to.
You're like,
gravity
this is
is
the one.
Yeah.
pulling me to you.
Have to.
Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Like I said,
So much fun.
Such
I mean,
a fun
this was
episode.
just like if I was at your guys'
Yeah.
apartment.
Yeah,
just
I
like,
told
hang
you.
out.
Shooting the
You'll be
shit.
fine.
We're shit
We've done
shooters.
this a million times.
We're
We
gonna do
actually
it
have.
a lot more. Trust me.
This was really
Hey,
fun. Thanks for coming.
Cheers.
And
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for listening, guys. Once again, your support means the world to us. Please, please, please subscribe, follow, like, repost, and
Hit all the buttons.
whoever gave me 1 star on Apple Music.
We'll
Call
find
it out.
you.
Guess what?
We
You
will
should go
find
to bed tonight and ask yourself why.
Call it
Why are you a hater?
Ooski out.
Bye.